one of your hosts. My name is Geoff, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Paul.
Yes, hello, that's me. I'm Paul, the other host.
How are you tonight, my friend?
Oh, mate, I've got lurgies. I've got a new persistent cough. I've got a sore throat. I've got headaches. I've got a runny nose. I've got everything going on. It's all falling apart, mate, and it's not pleasant. In fact, I'm going to turn the webcam off because nobody should have to look at that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, listeners, you'd be glad you can't see Paul. He's a disgusting mess tonight.
Horrible. You want to see how many tissues I've got hiked up? They're literally up to my waist now, and I've only been sat in here for a couple of hours. Just blow my nose, that's all it is. Why? Well, you think there's something else? Oh, I'm getting too old for that kind of thing now, mate. It's literally just blow my nose. It might not look like it. Stop now. Oh, right. Dear. Schoolboy
back on
track. The
best. So we're here tonight to talk about the 11th Hour, Matt Smith's and the 11th Doctor's debut episode. So a couple of weeks, our regular listeners will know that we've been running polls from time to time to where we've listed a few of our favourite episodes for certain Doctors, and to see which one wins the vote, to see which episode we should look back at. So we recently did the 13th Doctor episode of Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, and we did Flatline from the 12th Doctor.
Yeah, that
and
was
the winner
good.
of our 11th Doctor selection was the 11th Hour, his debut episode, like I said. So it was good fun going back and watching this.
Was it?
I was trying to think.
When was the last time you saw it?
Well, I was trying to think when I was watching it last night, and I thought, God, have I not watched this since broadcast? But that can't be right, because I've got the Blu-ray set, and I would have watched that when I got it. So I must have watched this a couple of times now. But it's a long time.
Yeah, same, to be honest. I haven't watched it for a long time.
Before Capaldi started would have been my last time, I think.
Oh, wow. That is a long time ago.
Yeah, quite a while, yeah. So what did you think of the episode? I'm just going to chuck it right back at you.
You really are, aren't you? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I really enjoyed it, actually. I think this is one of those which has more rewatch value than a lot of other episodes, I think, in the 11th Doctor's run. It's a fantastic story. It's not without some little issues, probably, if you want to be really picky about it, but it's so joyous. And Matt Smith, he's a joy to watch, and he just runs with it. He owns this from the start. And I know this isn't the first episode they recorded. I think the first story they actually recorded was Time of Angels, wasn't it? Which was another one on our list for the poll, which I really wanted to win because it's my favourite and I love it. But do you know what? I'm happy enough looking at this one because, like you, I haven't seen it for a couple of years, maybe not quite as long as you, but it's a brilliant story. I love it to bits. So that's it. I can go home now, can't I? After I said that, really.
That'll do.
Right,
for this
I'll see you
one,
later.
Yeah.
Bye.
So the story of this.
Oh,
one,
what about you?
Know,
do you like it? Do you like
good.
it? Is it?
Yeah,
that's good. It's all right.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, cheers.
So the story is the Doctor has just regenerated, and we left him at the end of time, turning from 10 to 11.
We did. We should have watched that and then run into this one, because that would have been a thing. Yeah. That's the thing I haven't done, actually. You should do that. I don't know why.
Watch that again.
Then it means I've got to sit through that again. Anyway, yes, I don't want to go.
So the TARDIS is exploding and crashing, and the Doctor ends up. It becomes instantly classic Moffat, doesn't it? It's very timey-wimey. So we'll go through things in a bit more detail in a minute. But in short, he ends up in the village of Ledworth, although he doesn't know that initially, and he meets young Amelia Pond, and she helps him with some of the post-regen craziness that's going on. And he says, I need to take the TARDIS out for a quick test run. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. And he turns up again about 15 odd years later. Amelia is now calling herself Amy. She's, troubled's not the right word, but she's, talked about her childhood friend, the Raggedy Doctor, she calls him, and people thought she's been a bit crazy for a long time, and then he turns up again, and she initially doesn't believe that it's him until an event later that convinces her, and they get involved in the discovery of the crack in the wall, which is a crack in time, but also the hunt for Prisoner Zero from the Atraxi. They're an alien race of sort of snowflake type flying
giant eyeballs,
things.
mate. Giant eyeballs. Total
looking for Prisoner Zero, and then it is quite an adventure in the village, and I really liked this episode. It was different to the previous Regeneration episode, which was Christmas Invasion, because the Doctor was actually active in it,
he was
and he didn't spend most of the episode in bed, which I really liked. And like you said, Matt Smith owned it immediately, and I mean, I don't know off the top of my head which other Doctor actors have shot their Regeneration episode first, but for Matt, probably having done a few others before he did this one, enabled him to get into the swing of it a bit more and kind of have the character.
That's what they did with Peter Davison. I think his first actual story was Fort of Doomsday. That's the first one he went in front of the cameras with, and then did a couple, and then by the time he'd done that, he was kind of familiar with the character. Then they filmed Castrovalva, his first
yes,
episode.
That's right. Actually, they talked about that on the collection set on one of the documentaries or something on there. Yeah. So I'm not sure how regularly. I think Jodie's first episode was The Woman Who Fell to Earth. So sort of straight in there. But this episode starts out with a cracking opening where the TARDIS is flying across London, all haywire. The TARDIS is on fire. The Doctor's hanging out of it.
This seems to be a thing with the modern series, doesn't it? A Regeneration just rips the TARDIS to pieces. It bursts into flames. It gets dramatic. It starts spinning through the atmosphere. It starts hurtling towards the Earth at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Yeah. It starts zipping backwards and forwards through time, so that we have a Millennium Dome, which can't possibly have been around when Amelia Pond was around. But it doesn't matter, because it's just flying through time and space, and it just and Matt Smith narrowly avoids the pinnacle on the top of Big Ben. Whoops, bit of comedy right there. Yeah, and it's it wouldn't have happened in the old days, mate. But that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it did the same with Peter Capaldi into Jodie Whittaker, and just the whole TARDIS. Just it's just an excuse for a bit of a refurb, isn't it? So they can redo the outside and the inside all in one fell swoop. Let's just destroy the set.
Yeah, and it makes for an exciting action-packed intro, No.
Well, it's a bit fake now. We're a bit used to it now, aren't we? We've seen it, twice, 3 times?
Yeah.
It didn't destroy at the end of Matt Smith. So 11 and 12, they essentially had the same TARDIS, didn't they? But we've seen it a couple of times now. It's like, let's do something different, guys.
Yeah, there's rumours that Jodie's is...
Sure, no, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to know any rumours. Do not. This is a rumour-free zone.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Don't say anything.
Apparently it's different.
I'm in control of the stop button right here, my friend. I will pause you as soon as I'll switch off your camera and microphone and everything. I'm in control of the levels. I've been on the old paracetamol today.
He's been on the day nurse. Send your crackers.
Oh my god, that stuff.
It's a great intro to this.
Mental. Yeah,
it does. Yeah. And then he crashes in the garden. I really liked the image of the TARDIS on its back.
Yeah,
with the loads of light coming out of the doors. And
it's a great entrance, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is a good one. And I liked the whole stuff with Amy, Amelia. It was, like I said just now, classic Moffat. All over the place.
Well,
and he
is
right from the outset here. He's gone. This is what it's going to be like with my era. It's not going to be A to B to C. Narrative development. We're going to go from we're
going to start at C.
Go
to M.
Hop to
yeah.
via
Z, Y, and X with a slight stop off at F and G.
Yeah, and then 2, 3, and 7, and then back again. So fairly quickly, that was established that this was going to be a bit more complex in that aspect. And also I thought, rewatching it, that the sort of darker tone to it was evident, quite immediately. Really, the title sequence is much darker in style than the RTD one was.
Did you think so? Do you think it's darker?
Yeah. Well, I felt that the Moffat stuff did get darker as it progressed, and not. It's quite sort of almost whimsical and fairy tale.
Definitely
at
fairy
point.
tale.
But I just think that, the visuals, the show probably started to come into its looking better. It's got better every year as technology has increased, and the skills of everyone. The RTD stuff is obviously sort of quite dated in a way now because of when it was shot and what things were like back then. But this felt a lot more kind of cinematic. I just said about that shot there with the TARDIS and the light and the smoke and stuff. It was a great shot. It's lovely, it felt visually sort of a bit darker, not thematically necessarily at this point, but the visuals.
That's interesting.
And just that change in title sequence
was a great title sequence. Do you like the title sequence? Do you prefer it to the previous one? That was a leading similar, question, wasn't it? Go on, sorry.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, because you still got the the TARDIS crashing through the vortex and spinning around, all of that. I prefer. Which one do I like better? I like the RTD one. I like this one. I like the lightning blasts and the clouds and stuff. I wasn't as keen on the Capaldi one, and I like the Whittaker one. I particularly like when it gets into the star field, and it always makes me dizzy because it starts twisting, and if you look closely at it, there's like multiple circular layers going on it, and it's a bit disorientating, which is quite cool. So it's a good title sequence for this era of the show. I did like it. So there's a lot of fun with Matt's Doctor when he first meets Amelia here, going through all the different food.
Oh, it's brilliant.
He likes apples, then he hates them, and then he's bacon. He's trying to poison me and everything. And that whole bit leading up to fish fingers and custard is designed, I think, to make you. If you'd never watched the show before, you'd be like, "Oh wow, this he's mad. He's mad. He's madman.
He's mad."
And I just really liked that energy of it. There's that really, there's the sort of repetition of the shots. You see the beans cooking and him eating the beans, and beans going into the sink, and then throwing a plate of bread and butter out the door and stuff like that. It's a really energetic sequence, and it works brilliantly to kind of show the chaos of it all, but also kind of represent what Matt's Doctor's like as well.
He's Tigger, isn't he? In Winnie the Pooh.
Yes,
that's what this is ripped out of completely. It's it's the house at Pooh Corner when Tigger comes to breakfast, and Winnie the Pooh first meets Tigger, which I think is typical Moffat. Because what Moffat is doing throughout the 11th Doctor's era, certainly at the start of it, he's looking at all those things that scared us as a kid. Yeah. And he's bringing them into play, and he's bringing in the ordinary stuff like the nursery rhymes that we have, and the little chants and things, and the stories that we all grew up with. Obviously, not all of us, but the sort of the kids' bedtime stories, and the things that frighten us in the dark, the crack in the wall. Yeah. The shadows in the curtain, the door that nobody sees, but which is suddenly there. Yeah. And it's very strange because you've got this massive, spooky house. All right, it's not massive, but it's big enough. It's a very big house for one small girl to live in, pretty much on her own.
One of my notes here is that the house is a dump. It seems like a lonely, cold life for Amelia. The wall, all the wallpaper is horrible. There's kind of peeling and cracking paint everywhere, and it's established that the parents are
not around.
They're not around. It's not clear.
It's not clear at all. And there's an aunt, but I don't think we ever hear about Amy's aunt again, do we? I don't know.
No, I don't remember.
I don't think we do.
And that's it kind of sets it all up fine. She's very lonely, and
Yeah, but is she though? That's the thing, because she doesn't seem very lonely. She doesn't act like a lonely girl in a great big house. She acts like, it's like she owns the house. It's almost like, again, when you're a kid, you imagine you have your castle, and there may be rooms in the castle that you've never explored yet, and some rooms that maybe contain dark fears and horrors and stuff a bit, but it's still your castle. You're the person who lives in it. You're the king, the queen. There is nobody else. So whatever you find, wherever you explore, it totally belongs to you, apart from the crack in the wall. Something scary is on the other side. I love all that kind of thing. It's almost delving into the realms of magical realism, that kind of stuff, where the lines between reality and fantasy kind of blur, and where the rules are slightly different. The rules that describe physics and reality and cause and effect, they don't fully apply. They things happen that might not, or might have an effect later on that would not logically go back to the cause. This is Moffat's real strength to me, the fact that he plays around with those things and manages to do it in a way that for the most part we kind of just accept it. We just go along with it. We don't. He manages to get us so involved in the story, I think, and the Doctor's appearance and everything else, that we don't actually ask ourselves those questions. He's very good at sort of sleight of hand. He'll divert your focus to some other part of the story so that you don't think about this other thing, which is just waiting to jump out and bite you later on. He's brilliant at that kind of thing. I think
it's like the house is clearly shown to have 2 floors. When you see it outside,
from the outside,
then when you go in, if you're looking closely, you'll see the other flight of stairs leading up to a 3rd floor. Which is then mentioned later. Yeah. But it's little things like that are quite clever. I liked the bit with the apple. When they talk about how she used to put faces.
Who puts faces in apples? That's weird, mate.
That's one of where Moffat got that from.
Again, that's a kind of that reminded me in a way, or put me in mind of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs and the Wicked Witch, with the apples and stuff like that. I'm sure Moffat is pulling on all that imagery and everything that goes with it to sort of layer these.
Yeah, and he's subverted it here. Yeah, and I sort of chuckled because the Doctor says, "Oh, I'll keep this apple for later." And I thought, yeah, you will, because it's going to come in real handy for the plot later.
Like the Satsuma in Ten's dressing gown.
Yes, yeah. Chekhov's but it was, nicely woven into it. It worked quite naturally, I thought. A couple of my notes here about the house being a bit of a dump and, the extra flight of stairs and things like that. When the Doctor came back a few years later, I liked that, although I felt that the garden could have looked a bit different. That was something I noticed this time, because it was exactly the same, and I was like, he's like 16 years later or something.
Maybe it was a well-cultivated, well-tended wildness.
Well-tended dump.
But again, maybe that's an effect of Prisoner Zero. You don't know, do you?
It could be a perception filter everywhere.
Exactly, that might not be the real garden, or maybe the garden is kind of, maybe there's some sort of weird time bubble.
Well,
but
you sort of they did it a bit later with in series 6 with the Silence, didn't they, and their ship, and kind of linking it back to
I can't remember
the Lodger episode.
Oh yes, they did. You're right. Yeah. It's the Silence. Can I just also say before we move on as well, because there's when the crack, when the Doctor and Amelia sort of investigate the crack, and we get that lovely sequence where the crack opens in the wall. That put me in mind of Time Bandits. Have you ever seen Time Bandits?
I've not for a long time.
Do you remember? Cast your mind back when they all land in the kid's bedroom, because he's got some weird stuff going on in his bedroom, and then they all push the wall back. They go heave, and they pushed on the wall, and this kid's tiny bedroom suddenly gets bigger and bigger because they're just pushing the wall, and it's way beyond the dimensions of the house. It's way beyond the dimensions of the town, and they just keep pushing it into almost infinity, and this great big infinite space kind of. I love all that stuff, and this to me kind of riffed on that with that spooky ass eye suddenly appearing. It's almost like, what's going to scare the wee buggers now, he's saying.
Yeah.
And let's have a giant eye. What would be one of the scariest, freakiest things that we can get away with in tea time TV that is going to freak everybody out? Yes, it's a giant eye. And then why not let's make the actual spaceship the giant eye. So the giant eye is actually the ship and the water, and it's just crazy when you think about it. But it's brilliant. I love this new mission statement for the next generation of Doctor Who.
Well, he's throwing so much in this one, isn't he? You've got the Prisoner Zero, which is the sort of eel type thing. Now, I've got a couple of
the CGI
thoughts
thing.
on So the eel itself, like, it was terrible, but the model on it was good. It looked really kind of. But it is. It looked quite plasticky, and I think I remember reading that it wasn't finished properly or something, or they ran out of money for it. So it's like, do you know what I mean? The model and the animation is good, but it's like the textures haven't been fully rendered properly, or do you see what I mean? So because the Atraxi stuff, those ships look really good. So. I liked the look of the Prisoner Zero, and I liked that thing of it kind of imitating other people but getting things wrong. So like the man ending up barking, and then you see the big teeth and stuff that they
they were pretty nasty, weren't they?
Yeah, but a bit like the vampires in Vampires of Venice, actually.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I quite liked it, and I do seem to remember. And I thought about this when I was watching it, but Moffat talking about it years later, saying Prisoner Zero was so important that we never bothered to tell you what he'd done or follow up on it.
Did he ever work out what Prisoner Zero had done? Did he ever?
No, I don't.
Did he ever have a story for it?
No. And remember, listeners, if you've listened to our podcast about Dragonfire, where I referenced Mission Impossible 3 and the Rabbit's Foot, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, I do.
In quick recap, in Mission Impossible 3, they hunt this thing called the Rabbit's Foot. Well, just for anyone who hasn't listened, and you get to the end of the film and they've got it back, and Tom Cruise says, "What is it?" And
what is it?
Lawrence Fishburne says, "I'll tell you another day." And then you realise, oh my God, we spent this whole film chasing this thing that actually you never even knew what it was. I mean, it's a mystery thing, but
it's because he doesn't know. J.J. Abrams. This is the difference, though.
No, he didn't know. No, exactly.
J.J. Abrams does this. He basically wrote, and well, it wasn't just him writing it, was it? It was that other fella he used to write. I can't remember his name, but anyway. But they wrote the entire first 3 or 4 seasons of Lost based on not revealing anything. Just asking loads and loads of questions, layering loads and loads of stuff, and literally just frittering it all away. Yeah. But it made the thing kind of watchable. You couldn't stop watching it until you realise, actually, do you know what? They're never going to answer any of this stuff.
No.
Yeah,
that was
they
not
didn't.
planned at all. No.
Yeah, well.
But no, it didn't bother me. Now,
no.
Let's
but I was going to say,
Amy.
just on this though, because I have to finish it off. But you started it, you brought it up, so I'm going to finish it off, right? So what I was going to say is actually, Stephen Moffat doesn't ever actually pose that question to the audience. I don't think there's any line in the script which says, "Well, what has Prisoner Zero done?" And nobody goes, "Well, I'll tell you later." It's just there's a prisoner on the loose. He's an alien, and we need to stop him before shit happens. I think that's it.
Yeah. Yes, I don't think it's.
So I don't think there's any cheating of the audience, our good friend JJ.
I remember him talking about it some years later, and
I reckon he probably did have a story ready for it, but then maybe it's just one of those things where it just doesn't matter to the story. It's because I mean, what would it be? It'd be some alien thing that you can't possibly relate to. So what does it really matter? That's not really the story. The story really is the new Doctor and Amy Pond. That's what it is. That's the central thing. All this other stuff just pretends to be the main story. It's just the kind of eye candy to keep you kind of watching. The real thing is getting the 11th Doctor and Amy together, and the crack. That's obviously going to be the ongoing thing, isn't it? So, so that brings us nicely, I reckon, to where you were about to go. So, floor is yours, mate.
I was going to talk about
let's do that.
Amy Pond, played by the brilliant Karen Gillan. So, I really like Karen in herself. I think it's absolutely fantastic that she's gone from Who to doing so many things, not just being a big star in Jumanji and the Avengers films, Guardians, and things like that, but also writing and directing her own stuff as well, and staying true to her roots in Scotland. She's done a couple of her films up there in Inverness, where she's from. So I think that's fantastic, and I'm so pleased to see how well she's done, and she really has. After a slightly wobbly start, where she got a sitcom, a US sitcom.
Oh, did she? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like about an Instagrammer or something like that. Social media starlet who has to face up to the real world or something, and it lasted for about 4 episodes or something, and it looked a bit like might not be quite working here. But then she got Nebula
and then never looked back.
It's not unusual, no, for
No, that's it. I think it's a factory over there, isn't it? In America, Hollywood. It's just they just churn this stuff out, and
she's worked really hard at it. To get where she is, and I think that's brilliant. So I like Amy. Now I wonder what your thoughts are on this, but I never. There was no point.
I know what you're going to say.
No point to her being a police woman.
Oh, okay.
To be able to. Oh, what did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to talk about Rory, but we'll obviously cover him in a little bit.
I'll come to Rory.
Yeah.
But I remember it was all sort of trailered. That, there was this policewoman companion and stuff like that, and it was purely for titillation,
purely for larks.
It's a bit of fun, I guess, and having her dressed up like that.
Yeah, so she's kind of introduced from her legs upwards, isn't she? Which is
she is. Which
it's a bit old school, isn't it?
She's
putting it mildly.
Karen has got very long legs, but I just it never really kind of sat right to me. Not so much that it was like objectification of her, but I was just like, that's just nonsense. That was just for kind of a little bit for the dads, and it added nothing, and also like the, she's a kissogram, which is a bit of a like, what? That's weird, and then she's revealed to be getting married, but you don't know who, because Rory's just introduced as a sort of her friend, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. There's no way someone like Amy Pond would ever have married someone.
Come
like
back
Rory.
to that one.
I've said it.
You've said it, but we'll come back to that.
So
let's deal with the first thing. Let's just unpick your head on this one, because there's obviously a lot of deep psychological trauma going on here with you, my friend. Let's study this.
It all goes back to this raggedy policewoman that turned up when I was 6.
I don't disagree with you. I think it's. I don't know. I didn't think anything of it of the time. Her wearing a policeman's outfit and being revealed from the legs upwards. Although it seemed to be that was just what TV was, and I don't,
and it's to say, I don't know, Karen Gillan's extremely attractive, and I did not like it, but
but was it necessary?
When it went out,
was it
no,
really necessary?
It wasn't necessary. When I first watched it when it went out, I remember thinking that has nothing to do with anything. Her being a policewoman and the kissogram thing, and now watching it again, I'm not offended by it or anything, but I just think it's a totally nonsense bit of script stuff.
Well,
this
is what I thought originally when I saw it, was that it's such a contrast to the young Amelia, because when we first, because I think it's different now, because we know Amy is Amelia, and at the time we didn't, because all we see, first off, if we just see her face first off, then we might get it, because the similarity between them is striking. I know they're cousins,
but it is really,
and it's mad now striking, because Caitlin looks very much like Karen Gillan did back then. Now, do you know what I mean? Now she's grown up. She looks extraordinarily like Karen Gillan, and it's mad that it was the first time they'd met on set. The first time they ever met was on the set, wasn't it? You know, it's bizarre. Yeah. But anyway, yes, we detract. But I kind of So I thought. Because I thought she was a policewoman originally when I first watched this, right? And, okay, revealing a policewoman via the back of her tights is a little bit sexy, you know, so maybe that's what they're getting at. It's a sexy policewoman. Okay, she's wearing a very, very short skirt, so she's a very sexy policewoman, and she looks fantastic and everything else. And then you think, okay, so yes, it is a bit of titillation. Is it poking at the kind of asexuality of the Doctor? Should he feel excited by this? But he doesn't, because he's the Doctor, and the Doctor doesn't get sexually involved with his companions and things like that. So I don't know. Or is it just simply they liked Karen's legs, wanted to feature them? They're all a bunch of blokes saying, yeah, oh, let's get her legs in there, mate. Oh, yeah, that's lovely. Oh, yeah, look at them,
And, yeah, well, but then... She's not presented like that.
No, she isn't. No, that's it. And she kind of
like, not just in the episode, in the whole series. You know,
and quite rightly. Yeah, it does seem a little bit of a sort of a bit of a decision faux pas. I think.
Yeah, but it like I said, isn't sort of a femme. It's just.
But there is a sort of weird. I don't know. It's this is a weird one, because I think these first few stories in the Matt Smith era, they almost invite a kind. Do I remember? It's been a while since I watched these stories, but do I remember correctly that at one point Amy grabs the Doctor and snogs his face off? But it doesn't really go anywhere, does it? You know, it doesn't really.
No,
it's not really carried through. It kind of fritters away once Rory comes on the scene anyway. You know, okay, I think, again, there's maybe a little bit of rivalry between him and the Doctor in those first vampires, and the one where they all end up locked in a TARDIS getting really cold. What's that one called?
Yes.
That one.
I can't remember what that
the one
was.
where the first...
Amy's, Amy's choice.
Is it? No, it's not, is it? Oh, it might be. Anyway.
Cut that. Yes, because there's a bit in the 11th
been a while,
hour,
mate.
There's a bit in the 11th hour the Doctor gets changed, and
yes, that's where I was getting to. Well done, bringing us back on track. Yeah, and she kind of looks at him, doesn't she? She gives him a bit of a fruity look. So Rory turns his back. She's like, "Oh, hello. Yeah, he's all right. Oh,
and
he's not bad, is he?"
She's not turning away, and the Doctor is like completely oblivious to any of it. He's just like, if the body bothers you, turn away. So yeah, and you know, there's obviously been a discussion about Amy grabbing the Doctor and kissing him in years since, but possibly taking it to extremes. You know, I think again it was a thing that didn't sort of really go anywhere or do anything, and you know, she'd had a life-threatening scenario, very dangerous and everything, and she was sort of, you know, leaping at him, you know, in sort of, you know, oh, I'm still alive kind of thing.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah. She said it
I'm
was
still
like
alive,
that.
I'm going to snog your face off.
Oh, I'm still alive. But, you know, it was a little bit like the... you know, the policewoman thing. We've done this now.
Yeah,
it didn't quite work for me. Anyway, but you know, as Amy, Karen is just fantastic.
Oh, she's great. Time. Yeah, she really is.
She's so feisty and such a contrast to Rose as well, and you know, and the other companions, you know, and in a good way, and it's not a slight on any of the others. They've got to be different, you know. And she wasn't just you know, kind of replaying the same thing. And I like that she had this kind of convoluted history with him, and the imaginary kind of character, you know, friend element type thing, and all of that stuff. And Karen, she's great. They obviously had a really good time together, her and Matt, and you know, the Amy character's brilliant. But I was never taken by Rory.
You weren't. Do you not like Rory then? Do you not like?
No.
Why not?
I felt that he was a wet fish, and there is no way that someone as confident and charge as Amy.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Even if she is... Oh, really? Okay. Even if she is playing at being a police officer, she's that sort of, leader type thing. She'd never have been with someone like Rory.
I love him. I think it's fabulous. I mean, yes, he is a bit comedic. They're all a little bit comedic. They're all, they play to type. I think, when I think about it, and I look back through a lot of these stories from sort of 2000s and onwards, it's like the characterization on paper is really thin, I think. I don't mean that as a bad thing, but it just is. I think that the actual characters, or the depth to the characters, really comes through from the performance more than it does from the writing, because the writing is really about plot. They're plot-based action-adventure stories. They don't have time to dig right into the character. There's enough there. There's a few crumbs, but it's the actors who make them who they are. And they make them endearing, or they turn us away, or whatever. And somebody as brilliant as Arthur Darvill, and as brilliant as Karen Gillan and Matt Smith, the three of them together, the way they play off each other, the way they kind of fill their characters and bring more to them than is written. If you look at, it's quite striking looking at 11th Hour, because in 11th Hour, Rory is quite clearly written as a dork. Right, there's just no two ways about it. It's Moffat having fun at a certain type of person, and maybe for laughs pairing them up with the sexy policewoman dressing up kissogram girl, who everybody in the village knows, who, as you said, is very confident and everything else. So I do suspect Moffat's having a little bit of a laugh there, and maybe that's all it is. But having said that, I think there's enough in Karen's character, in Amy, to tell us that she's a little bit unhinged, right? Or at least everybody thinks she's a bit unhinged. And the way she plays it, she's kind of manic. She's like thinking all over the place. She's quick. Her eyes are darting all over the place. There's that brilliant scene where, actually, just after she kind of, when the Doctor recovers and he's still in handcuffs to the radiator, she walks into the door that nobody's ever seen, and there's that the thing comes out behind her, and she turns, and it turns, and her eyes are brilliant. But the way she moves is that kind of jerky, slightly manic kind of like. Amy Pond is a sort of person who you can never predict what she's going to do next, and that would make her very difficult for Mr. Average kind of good-looking, suave, sophisticated kind of fellow who would perhaps like his women to be a little less high maintenance, shall I say. That's what I think, right? This is my thought. So Rory is probably the only person in the whole village who'd actually probably put up with her, because he genuinely likes her for who she is. And I think Amy's character, she loves that. She wants to have someone who actually maybe she can kind of, I'm not getting kinky here, right, but kind of dominate. Although, looking at what happens in a few other stories down the line, actually, there is a bit of that going on. But, they do like dressing up, right? When we get Rory the Centurion, all that, it's all there, isn't it? But, she strikes me as somebody...
She dress up like the Doctor as well.
Yes, she did, exactly. Yeah. She's kind of big. She's been controlling Rory since they were kids. Yeah. And she, that sort of character would happily latch onto somebody like him. Whether she would marry him or not, that's another thing, isn't it? Because she's very quickly eager. She's very eager to run off with the Doctor. She's very eager to drop everything. It's literally the night before her wedding, and she drops it all, snogs the face off the Doctor, and everything. Oh, she doesn't tell him, does she? At the end of this, that she's going to get married in the morning.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
We do.
No.
I see what you're saying there. I'm sure. Many of us have, had someone in the past who, we've been besotted with, and have, had a similar setup, and then they've,
left us standing at the altar. That's never happened to me.
So no, me neither. Okay, that's quite interesting. Yeah, maybe I should reevaluate their pairing. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I really liked in this episode and across the following series. I liked Ledworth and that small town feel of it. Obviously a deliberate contrast to all RTD stuff in London, much like Chibnall made a direct contrast again by having Sheffield and and a lot of other places as well. There was a line here where the Doctor says, "Where are we?" and Amy says, "Ledworth," and he says, "Where's the rest of it?" which I thought was really good.
It was quite nice. It's good because the English village, the spooky English village, which looks very ordinary from the outside, has been a Doctor Who staple since the year dot. Yeah, and it's the first time I think. Yeah, exactly. All of that, and the android invasion and the awakening and those sort of things. But this is the first time we've seen the English village in a modern day Doctor Who story. Yes, it is, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like.
And it was really nice to see.
It was, and I like that you got to see, some of the the people like Victor Meldrew's wife. She knew Amy and said, "Oh,
Annette Crosby."
Yeah, Annette Crosby. Weren't you a doctor last week or a nun? And
yeah,
like,
that's great.
Yeah, I jump around, and then there was my namesake there who was looking up dodgy stuff on his
Geoff,
computer.
Cheap joke, but
which was reused with 12th Doctor on occasion as well, about clearing your browser history and stuff. Or don't look at my browser history.
Yeah, with his sonic sunglasses.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, look, if it's a good joke once, it's a good joke twice, so suppose, 3 times, 4 times. It just has to be a good joke first in the first place, really.
Quite, yeah. I liked that sort of Doctor thought visualization.
That was good, wasn't it? Yeah, I like that.
Where it was a bunch of stills and it sort of joined together. It was like bullet time in sort of in a way, the series of photos.
You struggled there, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't quite know where that was going. It certainly wasn't going around,
I see what you mean. It was a bit more.
It was a frozen
bullet time with the gaps in between each frame.
Yeah, rather than a moving. Yeah, but yeah, it was good. It was a shame they never sort of did anything else like that. I mean, there was a moment in was it start of Village of Angels or Once Upon a Time where the Doctor is Swarm's about to click his fingers at Yaz, and the Doctor then imagines everything.
Oh yeah, and she goes through the Temple of Atropos.
Yeah, and you see like her jumping, and she's thinking, she says, "I'm thinking about this, that, and the other in this moment." So that was quite cool. So I liked the Doctor's quite famous challenge to the Atraxi at the end, where they scan him and
well, we've jumped a lot, haven't we? Blimey, yeah, you're going right to the end now. Cripes. I was going to remark, because I thought you were finishing up on the flick Doctor's head thing, but it kind of made me think of the direction in this. It was pretty good. This is good, yeah. What's his name? Adam Smith. Had he directed any other Doctor Who before or since this one? It's not a name that I easily recall. I'm putting you on the spot now, mate, aren't I? Whereas actually, it's just a poor excuse for me not having done my homework and preparation.
But
it did make me wonder.
Says he's done a lot of music vids, Chemical Brothers stuff.
That's interesting.
He did Flesh and Stone, Time of Angels, and the 11th Hour. So this possibly was
this probably in the same block then, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this was Matt's third episode then. Little Dorrit, he did. Some skins. He doesn't appear to have. He's just done a lot of music vids. I mean, he did a show called World on Fire a couple of years ago. Interesting. Yeah, he had a really strong, visual style. There was a lot of really nice shots, like the close-ups on eyes and things here. And
it was almost like a western. Actually, going back to that bit in the park with the bullet time thing, when you got because that sequence ends with the Doctor finding the guy with the dog, prisoner zero, doesn't he? So and then it's like they're sort of facing off each other. So the Doctor's kind of sort of reaching for his Sonic, and there's that almost like his fistful of dollars sort of thing. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And you see the eyes like which is the good, the bad, and the ugly. But it's that. He's definitely pulling off that.
He doesn't appear to have done much since, which is a shame because Yeah, really,
but it
really
kept
good.
moving, didn't it? You know, visually,
Yeah.
the camera was always moving. It very rarely stood still. And I thought that was a really nice way to kind of introduce Matt's Doctor, because Matt does not keep still for a second. His hands are moving. He can't stand still. He can't stand still without moving something. And if he can't be moving his head, it's his hands. It seems to be like his limbs are almost too long. His fingers are too long, and they're just doing their own thing. He's brilliant. I love Matt's physicality in this. He's just, I know we said at the start of this podcast that he just lands the role of the Doctor straight away, but he does. And this must have been really difficult because he's following David Tennant. So this is almost like Peter Davison trying to follow Tom Baker, the most popular Doctor of a generation who literally made the part their own. And now you've got to follow him. And Matt was 26, 27 years old when he did this, the youngest guy. Yeah. Nobody knew who he was. No. I remember a mate of mine slagging him off before he'd even shown his face on the show. He said, well, I watched him in Graham Norton and he was shit. And it's like, well, that's Graham Norton, he's out of his depth. It's weird. Whatever, wait till you actually see him in the show, and by God, he was good. And the style of the direction seems to play to Matt's strengths. It builds him up. It showcases him for his physicality and his little tics and his looks to camera and his little challenges and his smirky grins and his fish fingers and custard, all that stuff. Yeah. It is brilliant. I think this is very close to being an almost perfect episode of our favourite show, Geoff.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in it, I think what I was going to say, I remember when Matt was announced. It was on TV, and they went to an interview with him, and he was revealed. Do you remember? Was it in a confidential or something? Yeah, I can't remember properly, but it wasn't a special like.
No, it wasn't quite as big
reveal.
as Capaldi's thing.
No. And I remember thinking, who the hell is this? And thinking,
who is he? Who is he, Geoff? No idea, mate.
Yeah, for me,
no idea.
Like with Shooty Gatwa, I don't know him, but that's quite exciting in a way.
It is.
What they'll bring to
because there's no preconceptions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I knew Jodie and I knew of Capaldi and what he'd done with Think of It and stuff like that. And I'd seen Casanova and Tennant in Cut the Things and stuff. But yeah, those two guys. Yeah, no idea. So
no idea.
It's a clean slate. So that's good. Yeah, I liked all of the stuff there at the hospital. Where the fire engine ladder comes through the window.
That was great fun. Sticking the Doctor in a fire engine with the siren going. Meanwhile, Amy and Rory have to face off the bad guy in the hospital, who is now Olivia Colman and two scary twins.
Sadly wasted. There, Olivia Colman. She could have been a great villain, I think. But but this was a long time ago. This one. Also, the bit with the fire engine made me think about when Jodie's Doctor wanted the sirens on when they were in the police car.
Yes. Yeah, the Doctor loves sirens. The Doctor always wants to play with the toys. Always.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The bit when the Atraxia scanning, looking for the alien source, and they find the Doctor. And then they do that sort of very, very cleverly done by Moffat here to show you again this is the same person, that we've had, before. And he also did the same within the narrative as well to show Amy that it's the same person by use of the apple. We here get the projection of all the different creatures, and then the Doctors. Yes, Paul.
I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that so the scene with the apple, which is the bit where Amy finally believes him that he's only been gone from his perspective overnight, right? Yeah. That was it. For her, it's 26 years or whatever, but for him, and she didn't believe him to that point. But it's a brilliant scene. It's absolutely beautifully played. But I had heard a rumour that it was cut originally for timing or something else. And that it almost never made it to the final show. Yeah, but imagine, I mean, that for me is like the heart of this episode.
It's a bit like when.
But I think they had it dealt with in some other scene, which was a lot shorter and got because it is so fast paced. And that scene, you could argue, kind of slows things down a little bit, which I think is all fine.
It was that lovely slow motion shot, and that lens.
It could just be a rumor. I might have just heard it somewhere, and it doesn't. It's not actually true.
Yeah, I've not heard that.
Let us know.
Yeah, if anyone knows.
There's a whole bunch of Doctor Who experts out there.
Yeah,
they should be doing this podcast, not me. I ain't got a clue, mate. Honestly, I don't know anything these days.
This is all scripted,
yeah. Yeah, right. We can't fool anybody that way, Geoff. Pretend we actually wrote these words down. Oh my goodness! Sorry, go on.
The Doctor's heroic moment there, basically run and it was.
Did you?
It was epic, wasn't it?
I didn't like that.
And also, oh really?
That's the only bit I didn't like. Yeah. And I like it even less now than I did originally. Originally, I thought, well, okay, here we go again. We've got another Doctor kind of stepping up to the plate, saying basically, aliens, go on and be scared of me because I'm, what is it, Time Lord Victorious or the oncoming storm or all that kind of. I thought, I honestly was hoping we'd seen the last of that by the time this came through, and as soon as you said that, I thought, oh bollocks. Going to get it all over again, but it was kind of offset by him walking through all the previous Doctors that we'd seen. I loved that. We'd seen it before slightly in the in Human Nature, hadn't we? In the Doctor's Journal of Impossible Things.
It happens in the next Doctor as well. With
yes, but this was like a real vindication. This was like an acceptance that the old series and this series are the same series. It's a proper full-on continuation.
It wasn't as clear in RTD stuff for a while, was it?
No, but here there was no mistaking it, and I loved it. And of course, from that as well, Matt comes out, or the 11th Doctor comes out wearing his bow tie, his 11th Doctor outfit, his tweed. He is now 100% the 11th Doctor. He's not wearing David Tennant's clothes or anything like that. He's not the Raggedy Man anymore. He is now the Doctor, basically run. Oh, it was all going good up until we said that for me.
I'd like to just take a moment to mention our friend Ray Holman's work there, designing.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Costume.
Well done, Geoff.
They settled on a really great look for him there.
It's brilliant.
And his jacket, so my mum is part Scottish, and we used to go up to the Isles of Harris and Lewis when we were younger.
Oh, right.
And buy Harris tweed and stuff like that. And so his jacket being made out of Harris tweed was a nice little thing, and it sent sales of the stuff skyrocketing.
And bow ties as well.
And bow ties as well, yeah. So that was quite cool. So yeah, I liked his outfit, and I liked how it evolved over his years as well. So let's the end of this is Amy has accepted it. It's the same guy from her childhood, and I just have to say the best bit, because there's always a bit in a regeneration story where the Doctor sort of looks into a mirror and sort of checks his face out and all that kind of stuff. We don't quite get that, but we get an inversion of that because he's looking at prisoner Zero, right? And prisoner Zero copies him, and he comes out with a line like, "Well, who's that supposed to be? That's rubbish," or something like that. It's brilliant, and it's like, that's you, is it? Still not
really,
still not Ginger.
Yeah.
So
brilliant. I love that.
He invites Amy along with him, and we go into the TARDIS again for the grand reveal. What do you think?
And it's a beautiful TARDIS. I love it. I absolutely.
Out?
Well, I love it more outside because it's clearer to me what's going on outside. It's very simple geometry outside. Yeah. It's basically a box, but it's lovely and bright blue with the white painted frames and the windows. It's the Peter Cushing TARDIS, basically, and I love it. I think it's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. Then we go inside, and it's it's kind of. It's mad. It's mad is what it is. It's bonkers. It's just, there's no, I guess it's deliberate because you can't see where something starts and ends. It's all a continuous kind of mishmash of orange and brass and wood and teak and bakelite, which I do I like it's actually the Bakelite. Yeah, that's how I would describe these next few episodes. Actually, it's like a Bakelite based technology. You know what I mean? Like that kind of 1940s kind of style of, if the 1940s had been the future, right, and they developed like technology, computers and everything, it would all be housed in Bakelite with tiny little screens. That's kind of how this is, with the occasional trumpet and a hot and cold taps. I do like it, but but I don't love it. The inside of the TARDIS, I think it's too confusing for me to figure out. What about you? What do you think? You're looking at me strangely now.
No, I'm just looking at pictures of it, and it's melting my brain a bit.
It does, doesn't it? It does do that.
I didn't really like it.
Did you not?
No, I liked bits of it.
I
liked that the TARDIS, there was like an upper level for it, which has again was used with the next evolution of the interior. So there was the bit underneath the console where we sometimes saw the Doctor sitting in a little kind of swing type thing and doing fiddling with things. I liked that there was a sort of like projection type thing on the wall in like a screen type thing.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
And the stairs that go up and off and stuff like that. And I did like the orange, colour of it. I like the giant ceiling bit above the console.
They pulled that back from William Hartnell's first episode, didn't they? That ceiling unit,
like one of the old ones. So it's an odd one. It's got some really cool stuff, and I actually when I went to it must have been the 50th, had my picture taken next to the console.
That's lovely.
And on a sort of backdrop of the thing, but it was just I found quite a nice sort of panorama on it here. I'm looking at it was just had a lot going on in it.
Are you clicking away on your computer there?
Yeah, just to refresh myself on it. So it's not my favourite.
I'd go with that. Yeah, but what do you think of the outside then? Do you like? Do you like
I like the outside,
bright blue?
I mean, I like the little bit of green that we have in the in Jodie's one. But with Matt's, I like the white paint around the windows. That really kind of stood out nicely on it, and I like the addition of the St John's Ambulance symbol as well.
Again, back to the first Doctor, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of melding the old series with the new series. It's those little touches that bring it closer together.
But that interior, just a bit too much. But then when he had his next, the next evolution of it, absolutely amazing. I mean, there's that absolutely brilliant shot. I'm jumping way ahead here, but in the Snowmen, when Clara walks around the TARDIS on the cloud and then goes into it in one shot, they've never had a shot like that before, and he stands there and he puts his arms out and all the lights come up and everything. It's a spectacular
magical
shot, and it is, and the music, his theme kicks in. It's just brilliant. And I really liked that interior. And then when Capaldi took over, it was a shame he didn't get his own TARDIS. His own interior, but he changed it enough with the bookcases and things.
Yeah, he kind of made it his own, the 12th Doctor, I think, because when you watch Capaldi's stories and then you go back and watch some of those later Matt Smith stories, the TARDIS looks very empty and almost soulless. In a way, that that first iteration of that much more technological console room.
Yes, it was. I mean, the lighting design on that set was brilliant.
Oh, it's fabulous. All the glowing, but the walls are empty, aren't they? There's nothing on the walls, and it just goes. It's such a gulf of space. Yeah. And then later on, obviously, with Peter Capaldi's Doctor, when they put the bookcases up and the blackboards and his guitars hanging around, it has much more personality to it, I think. So, it's a very 12th Doctor personality. Yes. So whenever I see that now, it looks very odd, the fact that we have the 11th Doctor in it at all sometimes. Yeah, I agree. I associate that interior with 12 and the orange one with 11, really. So I particularly like 12's version of it, and I really like 13's as well. It kind of has that organic
alien feel to it again, which you've got a bit with Tennant and Eccleston's.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised they went back to that sort of design. Really, I thought we might have evolved onwards from that, but they obviously decided to go back to it. And
it fitted 13. It was sort of quite warm in there. It felt like a nice safe space, and also beautifully lit as well. So it'd be interesting to see what they do next time.
Yeah,
whether they sort of go really simple or classic looking. Or
we're talking in TARDIS interiors now, aren't we? But
yes.
So should we do the thing where I ask you what is your favourite of all time? What is your favourite TARDIS interior? Is it too soon for this?
No, I'm going.
Is it too out of the blue?
No, I'm predictably going to say 13s. I think I really like the crystal columns and the sort of hexagonal design of those plate things on that make up the walls, and there's always these blue lights behind them and smoke everywhere, and I like the way the pillars can change colour as well and completely change the look of it inside.
To match the mood.
Yeah, and you
it does,
have that
doesn't it?
little,
it really does that. It's like it's linked to the Doctor's mood.
But that's it.
I love that.
They've always sort of talked about that, but it was really quite obvious here. There's a bit where I think it's in the Timeless Children. She touches the outside of the TARDIS, and the lights inside the windows glow.
Yeah, and the sounds as well, doesn't it? The sounds respond to her a lot more. It seems they've really thought about that connection.
Yeah. So I liked that it was quite sort of organic and in touch with her, and there was Gallifreyan symbols again as well on the little steps that lead up to that main console bit, much like on Capaldi's above the time rotor. You had those dishes there. So I mean I do like them all, but I would say my favourite, second favourite is Capaldi's one. It looked really cool. How about you?
I knew you were going to ask that. I think, okay, I'm going to divide it. I'm going to say, actually, no. My absolute favourite of all time. Actually, you're gonna laugh at me, but is Tom Baker's wooden console room.
The wooden
one. I love that
sort of the Nemo type
yeah. It's quite small, but I just loved the idea when I was a kid of a wood panelled technological sort of cabin or flight console room, whatever it is, a secondary console room. Yeah. Or maybe it was the primary one, the other one was the secondary one. But it was great. It was only in a handful of stories. We hardly ever saw it.
It's stuff with Leela, isn't it?
It's exactly.
Not there often. No. I like that one. It was cool. I mean, from the classic control rooms, they're all very, very similar, aren't they?
You obviously haven't got the eye for this, Geoff. I'm disappointed in you, mate. They're all wildly different.
Are they really?
No, they're not. Well, I don't know. I could go through them, but I won't because it's getting late. So
maybe that's something for another time to talk
for another
about
time. You see the thing evolve. I think there are very few sort of massive variations. Things like going from the white console room to the wooden one is a big variation, but usually it's just like it's almost like a shrinking of the set. I think William Hartnell's original set on An Earthly Child was pretty massive, and then by degrees it shrunk till we got to like Patrick Troughton's time, and I think it was just two flat, for the wall, two photographic blow-ups, which had been somehow negatively inverted because they were so old. So the wall looked black, the roundels looked paler, but I always thought for years that Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor's TARDIS, was sort of a black and white affair, with black walls and pale roundels, but no, it turned out it was just the fact that these blow-up photographic walls were just decayed massively over time. And then you get like the washing up bowls with John Pertwee, just one story, and so on and so on and so on. But it's I must admit, when Doctor Who came back and I first saw the Ninth Doctor's TARDIS, the console room, I think I saw it in SFX or Doctor Who magazine, and I thought, that's what they're going with, is it? Okay,
yeah,
right.
And I can understand that reaction. It was so radically different.
I was a bit
but then
taken
saying that, so was the Eighth Doctor, or Seventh/Eighth Doctor, sort of.
Yeah, but my reaction to the Eighth Doctor's console room, and I saw it, was like, bloody hell, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Whereas I looked at Ninth and I thought, okay, they're going with that. And I get it now, because it is kind of, I don't know, it's sort of, it's been through a war.
Yeah.
Yes, but the Eighth Doctor's was just. But now when I look at the Eighth Doctor's, it's almost too much.
Yeah,
it's all style over substance, and I love Gary Russell's novelisation of the movie, because the way he tries to rationalise it is brilliant. He's struggling, right, but he makes it work just about, and then he moves on. It's like, okay, we've dealt with that now. Let's just quickly get past it. And then Terence Dicks, in the very first Eighth Doctor BBC books novel, right, decides to dispense with it completely, just ditches it. The Doctor decided he wasn't going to do that anymore. He's back to the white console. So that's, I love those sort of things, but we digress anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry,
maybe there's another
going off topic.
In TARDIS interiors and exteriors there. Yeah.
So where are we at? So we're at the end of this story, aren't we? Oh, I meant to ask you, actually. So what do you think here? Because Murray Gold is still in the series, isn't he, at this point? And he has literally defined the modern era. And yet, in this story, although we can tell it's still Murray Gold's kind of, somewhat bombastic overtures and heroic symphonies and scores and everything else, I must admit, for me, his best moments are the quieter moments, and I think in this story there's some beautiful Murray Gold stuff here. Yeah, would you agree? What do you think?
Yeah, there was some. I never disliked his stuff at all, and I must say that his theme.
I fall in and out of love with it. We have a very on and off relationship, he and I think.
I'm.
Or his music and I don't actually know Murray at all. To be honest,
I think we should have something new musically for the future.
It'd be interesting.
I really like his theme for the 11th Doctor. It was.
It's very heroic again, isn't it?
Really heroic, and the 12th Doctor's version, which was kind of more electronic, was also brilliant. Like when that kicks in, you know, it's time to get excited. So there was a lot of stuff in this episode. I thought, actually, that's really standing out nicely for me, and I don't. I think I have got the soundtrack for this one. I might have to give it another listen. There's some really good stuff in here. Yeah, it's good.
He did. I think, because like you said, we hear the first overtures of the 11th Doctor's theme. It doesn't feel quite complete. That's it. But it's almost like it's coming together, and it comes together more each time the Doctor does something Doctorish. There's more to it until right at the end it kind of really builds up, and it's almost then complete. Leads into him stepping forward his bow tie. I love, when the music and the visuals and the performance and everything just comes together like this. It just makes for a really satisfying watch of of an episode. It's brilliant. I honestly, I know I've said it already, but I'm going to close my face with it right now and say I think it is. It's it might not be the most epic Doctor Who story, but it's one of the most nearly perfect. No Doctor Who episode is absolutely 100% perfect. Even the Caves of Androzani, which is my total favourite, but it's close to it. Everything works.
Resolution?
As I said, Caves of Androzani is the most perfect story, but even then, it's got a few flaws. There's a few things going on. I think, okay.
Yeah, it's great, and actually, I really like the smaller feel to it. Moving away from
the more local.
Yes, that was nice. Yeah, great episode. Really enjoyed going back to 11th.
A lot of fun.
And, we'll have to do this again soon. We'll do another poll to.
Yes, let's do that.
Episode to rewatch. But I will demand it has Clara in it.
Oh no. Okay, all right. As long as you let me do the next one.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is going to have Tegan in it.
Yep. Fair enough. Yeah. I'll go for that.
Which is probably not a bad thing. If Tegan's coming back, we should definitely look at another Tegan story. Yeah, we should do that.
Okay.
What's your favourite Tegan story, listeners? Let us know on the back of a postcard. Send it into Who's C2C. Yeah. Oh, yeah, tweet. We're in the 21st century now, aren't we?
Back of a tweet.
I remember the days you had to write everything on a postcard and send it into W1AAA or something like that.
4 weeks to
get it. Noel Edmonds Swap Shop. Yeah. Brilliant. Right, we've gassed on long enough here, haven't we?
Thank you for
we spent longer talking about the episode than the episode is itself.
The episode itself, yeah. So, thanks for listening as always, our
Thank you.
listeners. And
Yes,
stick with
thank
us
you very much.
and tweet us. We'd love to know your thoughts about episodes and anything that you might like us to talk about. And let us know your thoughts. We've got a number of things on the go at the moment, including our podcast Positivity Project, which we haven't forgotten about. We've just got other stuff going on, and we need to get back to that. But yes, be fun. We will catch you soon. Thank you very much.
Going to catch people. Anyway, yes, thank you. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye.
Bye. What time is it, Paul?
It's nearly 9 o'clock, Geoff.
I'm afraid that is the wrong answer, because the actual time is the 11th hour. That's right. Welcome to Who... No, that's terrible.
That was shit, mate. Why don't you just crack on with it? Let's just do it.
All right, I'll just start normally.